सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। 20th verse. क्रतौ सुप्ते जाग्रत् त्वमसि फलयोगे क्रतुमतां क्व कर्म प्रध्वस्तं फलति पुरुषाराधनमृते अतस्त्वां सम्प्रेक्ष्य क्रतुषु फलदानप्रतिभुवं श्रुतौ श्रद्धां बद्ध्वा दृढपरिकरः कर्मसु जनः। We were seeing different leelas of Bhagavan Shiva. The 15th verse spoke about the leela of Kamadeva getting burnt. He came with the idea of creating some kind of infatuation in the mind of Lord Shiva, waking him up from samadhi. Bhagavan opened his right eye, which was still in samadhi. Means Kamadeva doesn't have that power to bring Lord Shiva out of samadhi. So one eye is still in samadhi, left eye he sees Parvati ji, then he opens his third eye and burns down Kamadeva. He remained an object of memory, that also because his wife Rati, she prayed to Bhagavan that have some compassion. Bhagavan said, this Kamadeva, he will not have a physical body, but he will continue to live and rule this whole universe. So until now he is ruling without having a physical form. The main purpose of this Leela was insulting a self-controlled person doesn't do good. That was the main message of this Leela. 16th verse was the cosmic dance of Lord Shiva, the Tandava Nritya, where his feet, the way he is stamping it on the earth, Mother Earth feels afraid. Am I going to survive? The way he is moving his hands, Vaikuntha Loka gets afraid, and his jata, when it moves, matted locks when it moves, the heavens get afraid. All these three things are three different adhyasas, three different superimposition. Body identification is the first one, represented by earth. Second one is kashaya, the mind which is having some deep-rooted impurities, identifying with those impurities. That is the second superimposition, represented by Vaikuntha Loka. And the third one is superimposition with ahankara, ego. All three superimpositions need hammering to loosen. That is when we can come to abide in our own self, devoid of any superimposition. That is the symbolic meaning of Tandava Nritya. 17th verse spoke about the descent of Gangaji. How she came down from Vaikuntha Loka. In some places it is said, she came from the toe of Bhagavan Vishnu. But the symbolic meaning there was, Sagara Raja represented Jiva. Along with Avidya, along with Gara, every Jiva lives. And the result of Avidya is thoughts, vritti. The only way to purify these thoughts is to negate them. Means to understand their substratum, understand its reality, which is pure consciousness. Thought is mere appearance in that consciousness. But having understood this knowledge, we also need abidance in this knowledge. So that is the descent of Gangaji. With lot of effort, she comes down and gives self-abidance to the one who is seeking this knowledge. And from the standpoint of consciousness, how long was this journey? There was no distance actually, there was no time. That's why this Gangaji who took so long to come, who was so powerful, who can divide this entire earth into islands, she appears to be a drop on the head of Lord Shiva. So Bhagavan Shiva symbolizes that consciousness. From the standpoint of consciousness, there is no time delay between knowledge and self-abidance. Means if you take snake rope example, for the one who is looking at that snake, he says, I have to teach myself how there is no snake, there is only rope. But you ask the snake or you ask the rope, how long will it take to get abidance in rope? What will rope say? There was never a time when I became snake. From rope standpoint, there is no time distance between knowledge and abidance. But from Jiva standpoint, there is a long journey. First you have to know, then you have to understand, repeat, then get abidance. Then we saw the story of Tripurasura getting destroyed, where Bhagavan delegated different roles to different devatas, but finally one roar of Lord Shiva made all the three palaces of Tripurasura line up, and he was destroyed. That verse said, it's indeed very strange the way in which Lord works. He is not dependent upon anybody's opinion. The main message there was, Bhagavan makes everybody an instrument. That is the way Bhagavan works. Every jiva feels grateful that they had the opportunity to become an instrument in the hands of Bhagavan. That remembrance itself is bhakti. Work done in such a way is called as karma yoga. And we also saw the symbolic meaning of the three puras, three cities. Then the last verse which we saw, 19th verse, was Lord Vishnu's devotion. When he was doing his Sahasranama Archana, one lotus was short. What was the symbolic meaning of the lotus? Nishkama karma. Nishkama karma. 999 actions a sadhaka is able to do nishkama, advanced sadhaka. But still there will be some areas where his desire will overpower. And our devotion gets tested in those smaller areas. The one who is devotee of the Lord puts forth effort, and even that little bit which is remaining to be worked upon, he is able to work on it. That was the exuberance of Lord Vishnu's devotion, because of which he got Sudarshan Chakra. Now the 20th verse is talking about faith in the Lord brings faith in doing good actions. Let us read the literal meaning in English. I'm generally not used to this style, so generally we go word by word, Sanskrit word we try to understand, but let us just read the English directly. Without the presence of a sentient principle, how can any action which gets destroyed on completion give results? When an action such as worship and sacrifice is over, O Lord, you remain awake in giving results to the performers. Thus, knowing you as the power that brings results to good deeds, devotees engage in Vedic actions, having firm faith in the Vedas. Whenever an action is done, that action has ended. But there are so many actions whose results come at a later point. So this verse is asking, who is that person who makes sure that a result is coming to the right person and the right result is coming to the right person? Can such a system work without a sentient principle being there? He says it cannot, because inert things cannot decide intelligently. Simple example is, in this room, if you find chairs arranged in lines, if somebody tells you the chairs themselves walked and arranged themselves in a line, will you believe? You need some sentient principle which is intelligently doing things. Like that, when we see karma phala, this person gets this faith that God is a living reality. God is not a concept, God is a living reality. That's why whatever things he is doing to Bhagavan, he does it with lot of faith. Sometimes when we do some yajna, we do some ritual, puja, this bhavana should come that the one who is in front is a living reality. It is not just an idol. That's why when we offer milk on Shivalinga, sometimes we get this thought, why are we only pouring milk? You say it is not a idol that we are pouring it on. We are pouring it on Bhagavan Shiva. And whatever is done with this bhavana, the results gained is multifold. Simple example is, if one person is sitting next to us, we say good things to that person, build a bond with that person. Will we get something in return or not? Means that person's mind will have some impressions because of what we have done. But if you just have a chair in front of you, you talk to that chair, you do so many things to that chair, you will not get anything in return. You see the difference between both? One is a sentient entity, another is insentient. One is a living entity, another is inert. When we talk to God, when we pray to God, this bhavana should be there that Bhagavan listens. He is somebody who is sentient. That Bhagavan we are worshipping. Because sometimes we feel whatever things we are doing, is Bhagavan even seeing it? He says Bhagavan is all pervading. Even the minutest of the actions which nobody sees, that he is seeing. Keeping this in mind, understanding that Bhagavan is karma phala Daata, this verse says devotees engage in doing good actions. Because they know that whatever good actions I do, good results have to come. There is somebody here who is ensuring that whatever good things are done, those good things will bring good results. Put it other way, devotee also knows whatever erroneous actions are done, those erroneous actions will bring erroneous results. In simple words, they say, Punya karma brings sukham. Good actions bring sukham. Papa karma brings dukkham. Erroneous actions bring sorrow. Now sometimes Papa karma bringing dukkham, we are okay understanding. We teach children also. If you do something wrong, that wrong action will bring wrong results. It will bring some problem. But other side is also equally true. If we do punya karma, there is no way sukham will be kept away from us. Joy will be always present. There is no way that joy will be kept away from us for the person who is doing punya karma. Means many a times, if results are not immediately seen, there is a doubt in our mind whether somebody is noticing all these things or not. For example, there are two employees. The employer tells them, there is something important at work. Can you please stay back after 5 o'clock? One employee says, I am paid to work 9 to 5. If you want me to stay after 5 o'clock, I am not going to stay. And that is legally true also. He cannot stay. Other person feels for the company. Whenever there is a need, he is willing to stay longer. Whenever there is a need, he is willing to put in more work. Now these kind of instances keep happening multiple times. Employer asks, employee 1 says, I don't want to stay longer. I'm not going to stay longer. Employee 2 says, I'm willing to stay longer, happily does things. At the end of the month or at the end of the year, if the employer has to give some reward, whom do you think he will give? Employee 1 or employee 2? Employee 1. No, employee 1 employee 1 said, I'm not going to say. So he will not give to employee 1, give it to employee 2. The one who stayed longer. Now the point is, if you just look at the day, employee 1 who said, I'm going to stay only until 5 o'clock, he would have laughed at that other person. He said, why are you staying longer? Look at me. I am living such a good life. 5 o'clock I am back. And if you superficially look at it, employee 2 was not getting anything on that day itself. In fact, he was giving more and not getting anything back in return. But really speaking, he was creating an impression on the employer's mind. Then when the time of result comes, whatever impressions he has created, based on that impression, he is going to get the result. Take the example in the right spirit. Don't stretch it in different places. Is it okay to work longer? Shouldn't we have a work-life balance? That is not the point. Example. The point is, whatever actions we are doing, they create an impression. Just like actions of those two employees created impression on the employer, actions of every devotee, every jiva, creates an impression on God's mind. And when Bhagavan gives results, he says he gives much more than any employer. Keeping this in mind, this verse tells us devotees engage in doing good things. We might not see the results right away. But all of that is creating an impression on Bhagavan's mind. Means we should have some kind of faith. Faith in good actions, that if I do good actions, it will bring good results. We have faith in so many things, right? Small piece of paper, and we call it $100. We have faith in government that this paper, if I give, I will get $100 worth of material. Those who don't have faith, it is said they keep gold. Because they don't know when this note will go away. They say, I need something else in which I have more faith than this thing. Just like we have faith in other things, this person also has faith in good actions. Now the next verse is about Daksha, how his sacrifice got destroyed. Kriya daksho dakshaha kratupatirabhishasthanubhrutam Kriya daksho dakshaha kratupatirabhishasthanubhrutam Rushinamartvijyam Sharanadasadasya suraganaha Rushinamartvijyam Sharanadasadasya suraganaha Kratubhramshastvattaha Kratuphala-vidhana-vyasaninaha Kratubhramshastvattaha Kratuphala-vidhana-vyasaninaha Dhruvam kartushraddha Vidhuramabhicharaya himakhaha Dhruvam kartushraddha Vidhuramabhicharaya himakhaha Kriya daksho dakshaha Kratupatirabhishasthanubhrutam Rushinamartvijyam Sharanadasadasya suraganaha Kratubhramshastvattaha Kratuphala-vidhana-vyasaninaha Dhruvam kartushraddha Vidhuramabhicharaya himakhaha. English meaning. O giver of refuge, Daksha's sacrifice was destroyed by you. The one who is engaged in giving results of actions, this is addressing Bhagavan, even though in this sacrifice, Daksha, the lord of embodied beings and adept in performing rituals, was the main performer. The priestly duties were performed by great sages. The participants were Brahmaji and other gods. Indeed, sacrifices and other rituals done without faith certainly destroy the doer. It is said, Daksha Prajapati was somebody who was very efficient. Daksha name itself means one who is very efficient. And because of his efficiency, he was appointed as Prajapati. Prajapati in simple words means CEO of creation. The one who will decide things, one who will give different results of actions. That is Prajapati. Now at one point, he did lot of upasana, lot of prayer to Bhagavan, because of which he was blessed with a boon that Shakti, Mata, will be born in your home. In fact, he asked for it. may Shakti be born in my home. Bhagavan, before giving him the boon, warned him. He said, you are a good person, but your ego is very strong. If you bring Shakti, Bhagavan Shiva also will become your relative. And because of your ego, it will cause some destruction in your life. Do you still want Shakti to come? He said, yes, I still want Shakti to come. He said, if you bring Shakti, Bhagavan Shiva will become your son-in-law. Because Shakti will always be with Shiva. And once you think of Bhagavan Shiva as your son-in-law, your ego will do something by which you will insult him. And that insult of the Lord will bring only destruction. Do you still want Shakti to come? He said, yes, I want Shakti to come. Then Mother Sati is born as the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. She grows up. And Daksha, he was constantly getting promotions. Whenever they would get promotion, the way they would celebrate was by doing yajna. So one yajna he does, where he invites everybody. Bhagavan Shiva is invited, Brahmaji is invited, Lord Vishnu is invited, all devatas invited, they are seated there. And this power is something, once it comes, it's like an intoxication. So Prajapati, Daksha, he became so powerful that he wanted everybody to respect him. When he walks inside, his expectation was everybody should rise and welcome him. All devatas, they were under Daksha, so they got up. Except 3 people. Bhagavan Vishnu did not get up, Brahmaji did not get up, and Lord Shiva did not get up. Later, I will ask you questions. Bhagavan Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Brahmaji did not get up. Daksha Prajapati did not mind Bhagavan Vishnu not getting up because he was his grandfather. He did not mind Brahmaji not getting up. Brahmaji was what? Father. If father, grandfather don't get up, it's okay. Bhagavan Shiva not getting up. My son-in-law, and he is sitting when I am coming inside. That much was sufficient. It is strange, There might have been 10,000 people in that yajna. Everybody got up except 3 people. But he felt insulted because of 3, not the rest who stood up. This is how Abhimana works. Whatever good is happening, that this person unsees. Whatever small insult comes, that he makes it very big. And he didn't stop at that. He started abusing Bhagavan Shiva. He said, nowadays, people don't follow any rules. Look at him, all the time he is living somewhere. All the time he is dressing up in a very strange way. He also takes so much of intoxicating things. These are all not true, huh? Here it is said, the vyasana of Lord Shiva is removing fear of the world. 2 vyasanas are given, 2 addictions of Lord Shiva. One is to give karma phala, another is to remove fear of the world. Addiction of Lord Shiva is not bhang. Those are added later. It is not there in tradition. So Daksha starts left and right talking about Lord Shiva. Lives in a very strange way, amangala vesha, this and that. Then finally, Lord Shiva is not even concerned what is happening. Nandi Bhagwan cannot take it. He says, you say anything to me, I am okay. But if you say something to my Lord, I have to speak up. So people from Daksha's side, they are cursing. Nandi Bhagwan is cursing from one side. Shrapa Shrapi keeps going on. And after seeing all of this, Lord Shiva quietly gets up and walks away. He does not even say a word. At this time, Satiji was not there. Lord Shiva only was there, and he saw whatever happened, quietly came back. Means Bhagavan, when he does Leelas, he teaches us several things. He says, know when to speak, know when to walk away. In English they say, right, there is a phrase, know which battles to pick. If you have a goal, don't get involved in every small battle. So Bhagavan Shiva says, fighting with Daksha at this point is of no use, quietly walks away. Several years go by, but Daksha has not yet forgotten whatever has happened here. He still wants to take a revenge. So what he does is, he organizes another yajna. Invites everybody except Lord Shiva. See, the thing to note here is, what is his motivation for yajna? That is the main essence of this verse. If anything is done with the wrong motive, anything is done without faith, that thing ends up destroying this person. So in yajna, there has to be a share kept for all devatas. And Rudra Bhagavan's share has to be kept. So he keeps share for everybody, but does not keep the share for Rudra Bhagavan. And all other devatas, they start questioning. They say, this is not our tradition. If you are keeping share, Rudra Bhagavan's share has to be kept. How come something new you are starting? Daksha says, this is in your benefit only. If you don't give share to Lord Shiva, that one all of you will get. So you all will get more than what you would have otherwise gotten. Saying like this, he continues with that yajna. Naradji comes and informs Lord Shiva that this yajna is happening. Satiji hears it. He says, in my father's home there is yajna happening, I don't know. She tells Lord Shiva, I want to go. Bhagavan Shiva says, wherever you are not invited, you should not go. Generally it is said, Guru's home and father's home and friend's home, you don't need invitation to go. You don't need invitation to go to their home, but if they don't want you there, you say one should not insist on going. So Bhagavan Shiva tells Satiji, but still Satiji insists. He says, no, father's home you don't need invitation, I will still go. Then she goes there. Everybody gives her a cold shoulder. Except her mother, nobody wants to talk to her. Daksha Prajapati also gives a cold shoulder to Satiji. Until then she was bearing it somehow. But when she sees all the offerings and the offering for Lord Shiva not being kept, that is when she gets very angry. Ramcharitmanas, there are very beautiful chaupais where she says, if somebody is criticizing your Shraddheya, the person in whom you have faith, if somebody is criticizing, she says, Katiya tasu jeeba je basai, shravana modi nahi pariya chalai. Literal meaning is, either cut that person's tongue or you walk away. This she has said in Ramcharitmanas. Means what it means is, if somebody is questioning your Shraddheya, either be well informed to respond, or just take yourself out from that situation. Because if you stay there, our faith will get shaken. If we stay in a place where our Shraddheya is getting questioned, our faith will get shaken. Having said that, she ends up giving her body through her yogic power. Satiji ends up giving her body through her yogic power. Until this point, Lord Shiva was calmly sitting. But when he comes to know that his devotee has suffered, that is when he takes out a strand from his hair hits it on the ground, and Veerabhadra comes. Veerabhadra goes in such a way with so much of ferocious anger that it destroys the entire yajna of Daksha. Different devatas who had endorsed Daksha's plan bashes them up left and right. There is one devata whose name is Pusha, breaks all his teeth. Even now, when they give bali to Pusha devata, they give Sattu bali because he doesn't have teeth. He cannot chew, that is why they give Sattu ka bali. And Daksha Prajapati's head is removed. All devatas, they say, what has happened now? This yajna was supposed to be completed, and suddenly we saw all this chaos happening. You say, Bhagavan, Daksha is a good person. It was just that he had a lot of ego. Please do something by which we can complete this yajna. Then Bhagavan Shiva says, okay, bring some head, I can fix it back. And these devatas, whatever head they find first, they bring. And that head was goat's head. Goat's head, that they bring and they put on Daksha. Generally they say, the sound that a goat makes, what is the sound? Meh. The one who talks too much about oneself is Daksha. So that goat's head represents our ego, which is constantly talking about I, and I. So that Daksha, his whole yajna got destroyed because he was doing it with the wrong intention of not inviting Lord Shiva and not having faith. 17th chapter, Bhagavan says a very nice thing about faith. Whatever we do without faith, that thing is Asat. Asat means it doesn't yield any result. If with faith, even if we are making some mistakes in the process, he says that will still give results. But if you don't have faith and you follow the process to the dot, that particular action is Asat. Then this person who doesn't have faith, why is he still doing it? Bhagavan says he is doing it just because of peer pressure. Others are doing it, I will also do it, but he doesn't have faith while doing it. So whatever is done without faith, that thing doesn't yield good results. Okay, so that was this story of Daksha. The next Leela is not very commonly understood. So you have to be very careful and subtle in knowing what this Leela is. We have not heard it in many places. Prajanatham Natha Prasabhamabhikam Swam Duhitaram Prajanatham Natha Prasabhamabhikam Swam Duhitaram Gatam Rohit Bhutam Riramayishu Mrushyasya Vapusha Gatam Rohit Bhutam Riramayishu Mrushyasya Vapusha Dhanushpaniryatam Devamapi Sapatra Krutamamum Dhanushpaniryatam Devamapi Sapatra Krutamamum Trasantam Tedyapi Tyajati na mrugavyadhara bhasaha Trasantam tedyapi Tyajati na mrugavyadhara bhasaha प्रजानाथं नाथ प्रसभमभिकं स्वां दुहितरं गतं रोहिद्भूतां रिरमयिषु मृष्यस्य वपुषा धनुष्पाणेर्यातं दिवमपि सपत्राकृतममुं त्रसन्तं तेद्यापि त्यजति न मृगव्याधरभसः. O Lord, Lord Brahma, overpowered by desire, taking the form of a male deer, forcibly went to sport with his own daughter, who had taken the form of a female deer. Thereafter, you became a ferocious hunter and chased him with a bow in your hand. In spite of fleeing to the sky, pierced and frightened, your arrows have not left him even till today. Did you all hear this Leela before? This one comes in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. But this Leela is not mentioned there from Brahmaji's standpoint, but it is mentioned from Surya Devata's standpoint. Just before dawn, there is twilight. You see a beautiful reddish tinge, which we call as Usha. The twilight which is there before sunrise, that is this dawn. And the sun which emerges right after that. It is said this sun got infatuated, sun got attracted by this dawn or this twilight, and went after this twilight. And right at that time, Bhagavan comes with an arrow, chasing the sun, and the sun runs to the sky and becomes Mrugashira Nakshatra. And then Bhagavan chases as Ardra Nakshatra. Ardra Nakshatra, that is the symbolism. In spite of fleeing to the sky, you see the one footnote, assuming the form of Mrugashira Nakshatra, and your arrows have not left him even till today as Ardra Nakshatra. So if you look at that constellation, you will see the hunter, who is the stars which are in the form of a hunter. And Mrugashira is in the form of a deer. The main symbolism of this is, if you take Brahmaji and creation, Brahmaji is the one who created. But it ended up in such a way, he got deluded by his own creation. So this is story of all Jivas. Our essential nature is Chaitanya. This Chaitanya only projects the world. But this projection is so powerful that having forgotten our nature, we get deluded and attracted by this creation. Even in the case of sunlight and twilight, the twilight is nothing but sun only. But this sun, looking at the twilight, wants to go and get it. That is this Leela, where Bhagavan says, no matter who that person is, even he might be the most powerful person, nobody is spared from Bhagavan's law. Either it is Surya Devata or it is Brahmaji. Whoever is going away from dharma, Bhagavan punishes them. You know, it is said, human beings, what is the Hindi word for it? Manushya. Another word? Vyakti. Vyakti. Vyakti is made from the root, or the word which is hidden in that word Vyakti is Vyakta. Vyakta means what? To manifest. So what is the uniqueness of Vyakti? one who can manifest goodness, one who can bring about goodness, one who can do Vyakta of good qualities, that person is called as Vyakti. All these things are included in this Leela. Means Bhagavan does this kind of chasing so that whatever good things are there in us should come and manifest. No matter who that person is, nobody is spared from Bhagavan's law of cosmic karma. Okay, but the main essence of this verse is creation can delude the creator. Whatever is the creation, that can come to delude the creator. Next one is a repetition of the previous Leela. Swalavanya shamsa Dhrutadhanusha mahnaya trunavate Swalavanya shamsa Dhrutadhanusha mahnaya trunavate Puraf plushtam drushtva Puramathana pushpayudhamapi Puraf plushtam drushtva Puramathana pushpayudhamapi Yadistrainam devi Yamanirata dehardha ghatanat Yadistrainam devi Yamanirata dehardha ghatanat Avaititva madha Bata varada mugdha yuvatayah Avaititva madha Bata varada mugdha yuvatayah Swalavanya shamsa Dhrutadhanusha mahnaya trunavate Puraf plushtam drushtva Puramathana pushpayudhamapi Yadistrainam devi Yamanirata dehardha ghatanat Avaititva madha Bata varada mugdha yuvatayah. O destroyer of Tripurasura, O practitioner of austerities, O giver of boons, Kamadeva, proud of his beauty, shot an arrow of flowers at you in an attempt to arouse passion in you. In spite of witnessing Kamadeva being burnt instantly, if Goddess Parvati considers you as infatuated because you assumed half the female body, it is not surprising. Indeed, the one who is emotional gets deluded. So this is the Leela where we had seen before, Kamadeva was sent by Devatas to bring Lord Shiva out of Samadhi. And he sent his arrows. How many arrows were there? 5 arrows. Flowery arrows, different sense organs getting infatuated by different sense objects. And right when he did that, he got burnt in front of Parvati Devi. Means Parvati Devi, she saw Kamadeva getting burnt. It is not that she has heard from somebody that Lord Shiva did this Leela sometime and he burnt Kamadeva. She saw Kamadeva getting burnt with her own eyes. When Satiji was there, Bhagavan Shiva, because she did that test on Bhagavan Rama, where she disguised herself as Mother Sita and tried to go and test Bhagavan Rama, whether he is God or is he any ordinary person. If he is God, then why is he crying? You all know that story or no? Many are nodding their head. So this was the time when Sita ji was taken away by Ravana. And Bhagwan Rama was lamenting, asking every tree, have you seen Sita ji? Asking every animal, every person. And Bhagwan Shiva and Parvati, our Sati ji, they were going from top. Lord Shiva folds his hand and says, Jai Satchidananda. Looking at Bhagwan Rama, says Jai Satchidananda. Sati ji starts wondering, this is Satchidananda? One hand he is crying, you call him Ananda Swarupa, and you say he is all-knowing. Doesn't he know where Sita ji is? Does he need to ask trees? How can this be Satchidananda? She comes back and still has this doubt. Bhagwan Shiva tries to tell whatever he had to teach. But see, whenever doubt comes, it doesn't let go of us easily. Lord Shiva casually says, if you want to test, you go and test. If you are not convinced with my words, you go and find out for yourself who Bhagwan Rama is. Sati ji goes, but she goes disguised as Sita ji. Bhagwan Rama, while he was crying left and right, suddenly sees Sita ji coming from front. He folds his hand and tells Sati ji disguised as Sita ji, "O Mother Sati, where is Lord Shiva? How come you are walking alone in this forest? Where is Bhagwan Shiva?" And suddenly she feels afraid. She says, how did Bhagwan know? And right then, Bhagwan does a leela where in all four directions she sees Bhagwan Rama, Sita ji, and Lakshman ji walking towards her from all four sides. Then she gets very afraid, folds her hand, quickly comes back. Comes back to Lord Shiva. Bhagwan Shiva asks her, what happened? Where did you go? He says, no, I just went to visit Bhagwan Rama, took his darshan, and I came back. Bhagwan being Antaryami, he understands what she has done. Our relationship with anybody is only through physical body. As jivas, we don't have any sambandha. Any relation, father, mother, son, daughter, husband, wife, all relations are only through body identification. So Lord Shiva says, you took the sharira, you took the body form of Sita ji. So from today onwards, you are Sita ji for me. I cannot look upon you as Sati ji anymore. So that is why he gives her seat in front. Sati ji says, whatever Bhagwan decides, that is the best thing for me. So then this whole Daksha Prajapati's scene happens. Then she gives up her body. Again she is born as Parvati ji. When she is born as Parvati ji, she has lot of Shraddha, lot of faith. But her question still is the same. Who is Bhagwan Rama? Is he God or is he just Dasharatha Putra? Then when she asks that question again, the teaching which Lord Shiva gives is called as Shiva Gita, which becomes the seed of entire Ramayana. Ramcharitmanas is an elaboration of 4 dohas of Shiva Gita. But this time, when she is born as Parvati Devi, Bhagwan doesn't tell her to sit in front. Not even next to him. He says, half of my sharira you will reside. That is where comes the form of Ardhanarishwara. Now this verse says, it is true that Bhagwan gave half of his sharira to Parvati Devi. But if she starts thinking that Bhagwan is infatuated by her, in spite of seeing Kamadeva getting burnt in front of her own eyes, he says it is not surprising, because whenever we get emotional, our viveka gets clouded. Our ability to think clearly gets clouded. That is the symbolism of this Leela. Addha bata yuvatayah mugdha. Yuvatayah here refers to one who is emotional. Whenever emotions overpower us, our ability to discern is lost. In this particular case, her ability to understand Lord Shiva is lost. She thinks Lord Shiva to be another person because he was so infatuated, he gave half of his sharira to Parvati Devi. He says, don't think in that way. It is not because of infatuation. There is one more Vedantic aspect to this verse. Do you all want to know? This is called as Avidya Lesha. Avidya Lesha means after knowledge takes place, little bit of ignorance remains in a Gyani. So much so that the remaining part of prarabdha, remaining part of their destiny is exhausted. But if somebody out of delusion looks upon a Gyani and judges a Gyani based on their actions, he says we'll end up in the same condition as Parvati Devi. Don't judge a Gyani by their actions. Because what prarabdha they are exhausting, we will never come to know. If you want to emulate their sadhana, emulate their knowledge, emulate their discipline. If you directly emulate their way of life, you will be thoroughly lost. Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, sometimes in the middle of satsang, he would ask for sweets. In his ecstatic mood, sometimes to bring himself down, he would ask for sweets. Now if we start emulating that, in the middle of satsang you ask for something, you say that will not take us anywhere. If we do it, that will be our ignorance, because we are trying to judge a Gyani based on their external appearance. Now the next verse is how Bhagavan Shiva lives. Very strange description, but it has a reason. Shmashane shva krida Smarahara pishacha sahacharaha Shmashane shva krida Smarahara pishacha sahacharaha Chita bhasmalepah Srugapindrukaroti parikarah Chita bhasmalepah Srugapindrukaroti parikarah Amangalyam Sheelam Tava bhavatu namayvam akhilam Amangalyam Sheelam Tava bhavatu namayvam akhilam Tathapi smaratrunam Varada paramam mangalamasi Tathapi smaratrunam Varada paramam mangalamasi Shmashane shva krida Very good. Very, very impressed with your chanting. Hey Smarahara, okay, English. O annihilator of desires, you sport in the cremation grounds. Your companions are ghosts. Your body is smeared with ashes from funeral pyres, and you wear a garland of human skulls. All your other possessions and this way of living may seem inauspicious. But, O giver of boons, you are the most auspicious to those who remember you. This is just describing how Lord Shiva demonstrates what it means to live a desireless life. Desire is something which connects a person with objects. If object is next to that person, he will not feel interested in that object unless there is a desire in the mind of that person. So when we say we want freedom from world, freedom from samsara, freedom from objects, what we really want freedom from is freedom from desire. If desire is there, that object might be 50 miles away. It will pull this person and connect with that object. My favorite example for this is, if you like some special ice cream, which is available somewhere in some shop. Haven't you seen people driving 20-30 miles? Just that one ice cream or any other thing. Cheese board pizza. People do such a long trip just to go to that one place. I have done it too. That is the main point. Whatever is the taste, whatever is the desire, that thing will connect the person to the object. And Bhagavan Shiva, through his appearance, teaches all devotees how to live a desire-free life. So what is his appearance like? The first thing is, he sports in cremation ground. He sports in cremation ground, a place which most people don't want to go. There Bhagavan Shiva sports. This is symbolic of the one who is desireless. Only that person can sport even in the most unconducive situations. Even in the most unconducive situations, a desireless person will be happy. The example for that unconducive environment, which is given here, is cremation ground. To the extent we become desireless, to that extent we experience freedom. It is not that one day we will get that joy if I become desireless today. You all must have gone hiking somewhere, right? As you walk up the mountain, you feel cooler. Means as you keep walking, you keep feeling cooler and cooler. It is not that only when you reach on the top, you will feel cool. Like that, it is not necessary that whenever all desires go away, only then we will feel joy. As and when we become free from desires, to that extent we feel joy. So Bhagavan Shiva, he sports in this cremation ground, which is a reminder of impermanence. Cremation ground, it's a reminder of impermanence of this world, where you will see the king and any ordinary person in the same place. One who had so much of pride, so much of ego, that person is also in the same cremation ground. Other person is also in the same place. Keeping this in mind, Bhagavan Shiva has vairagya, has dispassion. So his sport in cremation ground is a reminder of impermanence of this world. Then who are his companions? His companions are ghosts, pishacha. Now, few commentators, they very nicely explain who is a ghost, who is a pishacha. One who does strange things, that person is called as pishacha. He says, just look at it. If you take that definition, all of us are pishachas only. And he gives explanation. He says, nobody has told us entertain desires. Nobody has taught us world is real, go after the world, it will give you joy. In fact, if you read all scriptures, read Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, nowhere desire is endorsed. And yet, majority of our life, we spend after those pursuits. He says, isn't this strange? In spite of it being strange, in spite of us getting this title of Pishacha, we can become companions of Bhagavan Shiva. Means Bhagavan is so compassionate, he doesn't let go of anybody. Our Vedas also, whenever they talk about fulfilling desires, their intention is not to tell us that we should have desires and fulfill it. They are starting with this idea that desires are natural to us. If at all we have it, how do we intelligently exhaust it? Having exhausted, the main essence of Vedas is Bhagavan. That's why when they did that yajna in Chidambaram, the murti that came from that was Nataraja Murti, Bhagavan Shiva's Murti. So essence of Veda is not in fulfilling desire. Bhagavan Krishna calls those who say, purpose of Veda is to go to Swarga, get some result here. He says, those are all Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham. They have flowery speech. But really speaking, that is not the truth. It will keep us in samsara. It will keep us in this cycle of transmigration. So Bhagavan Shiva is very compassionate, doesn't let go of anybody. One Mahatma Ji would say, Bhagavan is like a doctor. See, if you are sick and you are outside the hospital, doctor will not care what you are doing. But once you admit yourself, unless you are cured, he will not let go of you. He will discharge only when he is confident that you are cured of the disease. Like that, once Bhagavan takes hold of a devotee, until that person is removed from negativities, he says Bhagavan doesn't let go of that devotee. So all Pishachas are companions of Bhagavan Shiva. Then what is the next one? His body is smeared with ashes. But not only regular ashes, it is ashes from funeral pyre. Chita bhasma lepah. Generally, we don't mind applying bhasma. But if somebody gives chita bhasma, you say, you keep it. I have my fragrant one. Bhagavan Shiva applies chita bhasma, which is symbolic of negation of nama rupa. In the fire of knowledge, he has negated all names and forms, and that bhasma becomes an ornamentation of the Lord. Now he applies this bhasma. Ordinary people will not know whether it is fragrant bhasma or it is chita bhasma. So he says, let me remove their doubts. He wears a garland of skulls to assure them that this is chita bhasma. Garland of skulls. That garland of skull represents viveka. What is the word used there? Nruka roti. Nruka roti. Nru means human. Nruka roti means human skull. So what is uniqueness of human being compared to all other beings? Viveka. Animals, they don't think. Means their most of their choices are governed by Mother Nature. That's why they are called as Prakrutika Yoni. Prakriti decides what their choices should be. Means a cow doesn't consciously become vegetarian. And lion doesn't consciously eat meat. That is how it is trained. But human beings, we have viveka. We can choose between two choices. That is symbolized by the garland that Lord Shiva wears. Then this kind of a form of Bhagavan Shiva, it is very inauspicious for the one who has desires. Bhagavan Shiva's form looks very inauspicious for the one who has desires, but the one who wants to become desireless and devotee of the Lord, he meditates upon the Lord as most auspicious form. This part, that Bhagavan's form appears inauspicious to the one who has desire, that represents discussion on Vairagya. For a person who has desire, any discussion on Vairagya looks very inauspicious. Guruji says, if you discuss too much on Vairagya, they get Vairagya towards you. If you discuss too much on dispassion, first thing we get dispassion is towards the speaker. That is this inauspicious form where desire is in the heart. Any discussion about Vairagya looks very awkward, looks very odd. But on the other hand, if somebody is a sadhaka, same discussion on Vairagya looks amrutam. He says, this is what I was looking for. I was struggling to pull my mind out from sense objects. Here is where I have gotten a perspective to pull my mind out of sense objects. Bhaja Govindam, if you read, you will find this example. Some people will love Bhaja Govindam. He said, this is what I was looking for. Mind was getting stuck in sense objects. Bhagavan Shankaracharya told me how to bring it out. Then you will have another group. They will sing Bhaja Govindam, but they would not want to look at the meaning. Because it is directly hammering our different notions. But for the one who seeks self-development, this is great amrutam. Somebody might ask, Bhagavan, why do you have to appear in this form first of all? Such kind of strange appearance. There is a story behind it. Brahmaji, when he created this universe, first being he created was those people who were filled with sattva guna. They were called as Sanat Kumaras, 4 mind-born sons of Brahmaji. And Brahmaji told them, okay, Sanat Kumaras, you are here. Please go and expand this creation. They said, which creation? They were born with so much sattva. They had clarity of knowledge. They said, oh Father, please don't get us entangled in samsara. We are not interested. We want to sing glories of Bhagavan. So they walked away. Brahmaji said, mission unsuccessful. So much effort, I created 4 people. None of them is interested. Then he created those beings with more rajas. Little bit sattva, majority rajas, little bit tamas. All Prajapatis came, all other beings came. He said, you all go and expand creation. They said, yes, Father, we will go and do it. But when they started doing it, Brahmaji ended up with another problem. What would happen is, see, creation is such, moment you start getting engaged, you will get some disappointment. Some sorrow will come. That sorrow will turn us towards the Lord. And whenever they came to Bhagavan Shiva, Brahmaji said, you will give them moksha right away. You will give them knowledge right away to remove their sorrow. How will my creation run? Everybody who is disappointed comes to you. These Prajapatis who are supposed to run the creation, they come to you. You give them knowledge. They get moksha. I am the one at loss. So Bhagavan Shiva said, I will have this kind of a form. If I wear that bhasma, put a garland of skull, appear in a very strange way, most people will stay away from me. Only those who are devotees of the Lord, they will come to me. So this was one of the strategy that Brahmaji used for his creation to continue. Means the discussion on Vairagya, discussion on Jnanam. The one who starts doing it, truth is not too far away from them. But the one who gets afraid from it, he says they can happily continue living in samsara without recognizing Bhagavan who is there right with them. So this is one way in which Bhagavan remains hidden. Next verse is something that we had used for meditation. Second meditation, the one that we did yesterday, that was based on this verse. We'll just chant it. Manah pratyak chitte savidam avidhaya tamarutah Manah pratyak chitte savidam avadhaya tamarutah Prahrushadro manah Pramada salilot sangita drushah Prahrushadro manah Pramada salilot sangita drushah Yada lokyahladam Hruda iva nimajjamrutamaye Yada lokyahladam Hruda iva nimajjamrutamaye Dadhatyantastatvam Kimapi yaminastat kila bhavan Dadhatyantastatvam Kimapi yaminastat kila bhavan Manah pratyak This is actually the technique of Drik Drishya Viveka. Where do we find Bhagavan? We will find Bhagavan as witness of thoughts. How to turn the mind from outside to inside? That technique is given in this verse, but in a very poetic way. This person who has turned inwards is as though drowning in that ocean of bliss. His eyes are filled with tears because of something that he has seen. He says that truth which he saw, that is Bhagavan Shiva. That is the gist of this verse. Sanga Mukunda Kuniha Pahila. There is one nice bhajan where the saint is saying, he is explaining to his guru that I saw Mukunda and then he disappeared. He says, yes, that is true. This happened in Rasa Krida, right? He says, no, I saw him. I saw him, and whatever things he did, the description of that is that song. Means Bhagavan's nature pointed out as Nirguna Nirakara, the witness. More we will see in the next session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.